Hello everybody, here we are today talking about the San Jose Sharks and whether or not they'll finish at the bottom of the NHL standings by the end of the year. So before we get into that, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or hockey, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So last night, the San Jose Sharks were the second team eliminated from playoff contention, and this marks the fifth straight season that they'll not be seeing postseason hockey. That is the longest stretch in our Sharks history, and this side looks like it could be one of the worst teams in the organization's 32-year history. They're on pace for 21 wins and are looking at just 4 other teams that finished with fewer wins in them, 2 of them having really good excuses. The first one being the expansion team, the very first year that they played. If you remember, them and Ottawa struggled to get out of the gates in the NHL in that expansion era, as things were a little bit less forgiving to teams that were starting up, and they had like 11 wins on the year. The second team being the side that played in the shortened 2012-13 season. They just played 48 games. If they won more games than this team did, I'd really be concerned about how bad this side was. However, it is clear to see that while they may not be the worst team in San Jose history, they are still one of the worst teams, and it is a perspective that looks pretty bleak in terms of the now and the season. But we are going to be talking a bit about some things that are explaining why they're bad, as well as some reasons to be optimistic and whether or not they'll finish at the bottom of the standing. So why are they the way they are, I think, is going to be something that is interesting. But I think what's really interesting is the fact that Chicago, the Blackhawks, have been a team competing, if you will, with the Sharks for the bottom spot in the NHL. Now, as of late, the Hawks have won 2 in a row, whereas San Jose is on a 2-game skid of their own, actually just a 1-game skid, excuse me. And the teams are now at a spot where you're wondering, will one team be able to battle it out and beat the other one for the first overall pick or best odds of the first overall pick? And I think that's something that is totally fun to talk about, and I'll give my answer towards the end of the video. But now we get to take a look at some reasons as to why the Sharks are so bad. So for one, just simply put, they've had a lot of long losing streaks. They've had 3 losing streaks of 9+ games. Had the Ottawa Senators beat them in a game recently, it would have been 3 straight stretches of 10+ games without a win. Ottawa's got a lot of problems of their own right now, so we're just going to say 3 of 9. One of those was like a 12-game losing streak. Another one was 11 games. Recently snapped a 9-game skid, and San Jose has just been a side that when they've been bad, they have had some long bad runs. Chicago, meanwhile, hasn't had as long of losing streaks, but they've not been able to patch together a lot of wins, as San Jose kind of had a period where they turn around play. Now we get to look at some numbers as to why the Sharks are so bad, and then get into some positive things. So I'm going to be putting these things up on the board here. We'll be taking a look at 5-on-5 play. So at full strength, they rank 32nd for shots for percentage, 32nd for goals for percentage, 32nd for expected goals for percentage, 32nd for scoring chances for percentage, 30th for high danger chances for percentage, 32nd for medium danger chances for percentage, and 25th for save percentage. Now, clearly those things are kind of brutal there. They have been able to get better goaltending than they probably deserve in that situation, but it is still something where they rank near the bottom or at the bottom of a lot of major offensive categories. And now we get to take a look at the power play and see how they do on the man advantage. So when they have extra attackers, they rank 32nd for shots for percentage, 27th for goals for percentage, 32nd for expected goals for percentage, 32nd for scoring chances for percentage, 28th for high danger chances for percentage, 32nd for medium danger chances for percentage, and 17th for power play percentage. Again, another situation where they're not generating a lot of offense, and they are a team that's not expected to generate a lot of goals. I think what's kind of interesting is the fact that their power play percentage is a lot higher than I expected it to be. However, in the grand scheme of things, it might not mean as much. They are near the bottom of the league for power play goals while trailing. And I know some people can look at that and say, oh, well, maybe they're down 2-1 or they're down 3-1, something like that, where they're back in contention for the game. That may be the case. I can't find that with what I'm looking at, but I can see that they are trailing a lot in those games. They've had some games where they've really been beat up, so I wouldn't be surprised if these were games that they scored when other teams are a little bit more lackadaisical, if you will, or just teams are in a spot where they have a lead and San Jose is just trying with everything they can to try to make it somewhat competitive. So the power play being about middle of the road isn't something that's going to matter a whole lot when those scores might not be that close. And then we're going to be taking a look at their PK, and I think recently somebody said they were a little bit confused when I had the numbers be flipped, because if you have offensive categories, if you click goals for, teams that do better are higher, whereas if you do chances against and stuff like that, if you click on it, teams that are worse have a lower number. So if you had a team that was first, that would mean that they are bad. We're going to flip it. So basically, if the number is 32nd, that means that they're bad. I just basically went through and counted. That way it's a little bit easier for you guys to kind of imagine some of this stuff. And I'd rather have it be easier for you than for me to say, oh, this is easy to click this. So now we can take a look at what happens when they get guys in the box. So when they are killing off penalties, they are 25th for shots against per 60, 26th for goals against per 60, 26th for expected goals against per 60, 27th for high danger chances against per 60, 25th for medium danger chances against per 60, 25th for save percentage, and 31st for PK percentage. So again, another situation where things aren't that great and the goalies probably have to be thinking life is a little bit miserable, and I'm left again wondering how this team has been competing with Chicago for the bottom overall spot, because the Sharks have had some really bad stretches. Well, I think part of this answer kind of lies into earlier in the season. We talked about that a little bit earlier in the video, where I said the Sharks had a bit of play where things went well for them over a 15-game stretch. I believe they went 8-7-1. That's going to help you out a lot, especially with the Hawks having more bad longer stretches, whereas the Sharks have had really compacted stretches where things have not gone well. However, the Sharks are in a spot 2 right now where they are at the bottom of league standings, thanks again in part to Chicago's 2 recent wins, and is something where you ask, is this team going to be able to finish below the Hawks, and is that a good thing? And my answer to that is they very well could. Recently, we've seen a lot of pieces get moved out in trade deals. Hurdle, we saw Duclair as well get shipped off. They shipped off a goalie, was it Blackwood? Maybe it was, I can't remember. But either way, you're looking at pieces of this forward group as well as a goalie being traded away. And this team is going to be dealing with those absences. Logan Couture as well has been dealing with some injuries this year. I don't think he's played in a lot of games this season, and is just, again, another veteran piece that is not going to be in the lineup. San Jose, even with a lot of these guys, has been struggling to put together a lot of wins, and as you can see from a lot of their numbers, have been one of the worst teams, if not kind of around the bottom of the league for a lot of these numbers. Or if they've been good or average some of these regards, like power play percentage, it doesn't really matter because they're playing from behind in so many games. So San Jose is in a spot where they definitely could be the very worst team in the league. But I'm not here to be completely negative to San Jose fans. We always try to stay optimistic about teams and give reasons for fans to feel like, oh, there is that light at the end of the tunnel. And one of the great things here is that they'd have the best overall odds of landing the first overall pick, and are just in a spot where that could be another piece that could help them along the way. And also, according to The Athletic, at one point this season they had the Sharks ranked as the 6th best prospect pool, and they ended up getting Edstrom from the Vegas Golden Knights, who could again be a piece that helps them out and makes his prospect pool better. You are seeing some of these guys like Eklund that is getting more minutes this season and is a positive value guy for them this year, hoping next year can go better. He's averaging about half a point per game. But you're seeing other individuals as well that are getting these opportunities, as well as the fact that the Sharks have a lot of prospects that haven't been able to crack into the NHL just yet, kind of like Chicago. I just did a video on them as well today. So the possibility for things to be very bright in the future is there. And for the Sharks, they have to remember, especially their fans, while there is bad, there is some good that comes along with this. And also, I believe that they ended up getting a first-round pick from Vegas in that trade for Hurdle. So again, just kind of focusing on the future. I know it seems kind of bleak at times when you haven't made the playoffs in half a decade and you are a team that is regularly getting beat by healthy margin. But you have to stay focused, because if they were just a fringe playoff team, would they be beating some of these other teams that are gearing up? No, they wouldn't. But anyway, what are your thoughts on San Jose this season? Do you think that the Sharks will finish with the worst overall record? And do you think that they will be one of the worst teams in Sharks history? Or will they go on a run and revive things, I guess, towards the end of the year? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night. And Eagle of Hawk, you alright? Goodbye, Brigadiers and Brigadettes. This is your captain signing off. Have a great night.